Breaking news coming into the newsroom this hour, this time out of Europe. German Chancellor Angela Merkel says that she prefers fresh elections than leading a minority government. This comes after coalition talks collapsed. Again, Merkel pushing for fresh polls out of Germany after the coalition talks did not go her way. Let's go straight to WION's senior foreign editor, Padma Rao, joining us live from New Delhi with the very latest. Padma, in fact, it wasn't too long ago when both of us were at the German embassy here in New Delhi when all those speculations took place. Now, what exactly is likely to happen? We understand that ultimately this all falls under the president or under the constitution, whether or not there will be fresh elections in Germany.
Well, let's get it very straight, Archit. Essentially, not a lot has changed since this morning. Chancellor Angela Merkel was reacting to an interview she gave to ARD, which is Germany's premier channel, a television channel, and later to ZDF, which is the second channel, the news channel. And therein she said, and this was around 8:15 this evening, German time, she said that she is a woman of responsibility and she is ready to take on further responsibility. That she did not run the elections, to now resign, as some people are calling for her to step down so that a coalition could, coalition talks could go ahead. She says that she's actually calling the bluff of something that has not yet been put in place by the German president, because it's only the German president who can actually go through the rounds of, 3 rounds of voting in the Bundestag. He can order them. He can expect her to get an absolute majority. And if she doesn't, then he can call a minority government and or he can call fresh election. Now, all those things haven't happened. What she's done is she's visited. The German president formally announced to him that the coalition talks failed, and the German president has made it very clear over the weekend that he is not in favor of calling for fresh elections. Now, what she's doing is calling the bluff. She's preempting, the fact that they're preempting a possible move to call fresh elections by saying that even if there are fresh elections, she's willing to challenge and run them again. And I think that shows a very confident chancellor, and that shows a woman who certainly knows that, and she's also absolutely ruled out forming any kind of, coalition or any kind of forming any kind of agreement, entering agreements with the extreme right wing, which is the AfD, the Alternative für Deutschland, which is currently in parliament, so which crossed the 10% hurdle, in fact, almost with 11 or 12%, and is in parliament. So what she's essentially doing is she's possibly chipping away at the edge that the Free Liberals got during this election to emerge as such a large party, to be able to enter coalition talks and then finally withdraw and, make the coalition talks collapse again. So I think what she's aiming at is very smart political thinking. Any FDP voter, Free Liberal voter, would possibly be, or not any, but, a certain percentage might be tired or might be disappointed by the inability of the party they chose to enter coalition talks, and that percentage of a vote might go back to the CDU, CSU. Another important thing she said, Archit, is, and WION has been speaking of this possibility all day, is that she, as on her part, is very happy to enter talks again with the SPD, with the Social Democrats, with whom she ruled all these years in a coalition. Now, it's the SPD that has said that they're not interested. They reiterated that over the weekend. But Frau Merkel has once again said in these interviews that as far as she's concerned, she's not ruling that out. She's happy to enter talks with them. But the one thing she will not do, and she's made that clear, is to go for a minority government should that step be taken, the very last step, as WION has been saying, and President Frank-Walter Steinmeier calls a minority government. So this is a very, very interesting time in Germany. It's an unprecedented time, and perhaps the CDU of Chancellor Merkel is also hoping to improve its vote, because this was its lowest, its worst election result since 1949. There is a likelihood, if there is a fresh election, that she is seen as practically the only stable personality and the only stable political figure in all these shenanigans.
Yeah, but, Padma, what also is interesting about all of this is, does it really boil down to some of the issues? Were they just not seeing eye to eye when it came to things like the immigration situation, the refugee crisis, and climate change and environment? Or is there perhaps a bigger equation at stake. What are you picking up, or what can we perhaps infer about some of these coalition talks which just did not go well according to Merkel's plans?
Well, what we can infer is that the Green Party, which is the third, element of this constellation, the Green Party, the FDP, the Free Liberals, and the CDU-CSU union of Chancellor Angela Merkel, the Green Party was pretty much in consonance with, as expected, with the CDU-CSU of Chancellor Merkel as far as the refugee question is concerned. Now, the refugee question is what has given extreme right-wing parties like the AfD its edge and allowed it to enter parliament at all. Now, she has made it very clear that she is not going to enter into any kind of negotiation or any kind of talks with that party. So this is one thing that we have gleaned from the coalition talks, that the Greens were in consonance with the CDU-CSU, but not the Free Liberals. Now, why not the Free Liberals? Because Free Liberal, as the name suggests, is a liberal democratic party. It believes in free market reforms. So does the CDU-CSU, but there is a social/socialist element to the CDU-CSU, as the name suggests, the twin name suggests. Now, the Liberals do not want to see they've obviously promised their voters a lot. They're talking about, big business. They're seeing that Germany's economy is on the upswing again. They do not want additional tax burdens on their voters. They do not want them to bear additional costs for the influx of refugees. So these are possibly issues that the Free Liberals, were at variance over. And I think that is pretty much the key question. And the Free Liberals also spoke about, stalling development. They said that, if we went into this coalition, it would stall the development of Germany. Never mind the fact that we in India interpret the word development completely differently. I mean, Germany is a superpower and it's highly developed. But what they mean by development is that they don't want any regression, perhaps, in the status, in the financial status, and the clout that the average German citizen enjoys within Europe and also on a world level. So now that is a tall order. If now the CDU-CSU are obviously being more modest about it, they see it as a historical responsibility of Germany to keep the refugees coming. They see it as a moral responsibility of Germany, and I think that is a stance. Never mind what the international media tell us about riots and the rise of the right wing in Germany. It's a very admirable stance, and it's something that all Germans of all ages have stuck to for the last 70 years. They feel a strong sense of moral responsibility for the dreadful horrors of the Second World War and the Holocaust especially, and they see it as their moral responsibility to allow refugees and to bear the costs for them. And I think this is something that is the risk and the gamble that Mrs. Merkel has merely said she's willing to take. Now, let's not jump the gun and think, yes, there are going to be fresh elections. We don't know that till the president, Frank-Walter Steinmeier, has actually spoken up, and he will be doing that either tonight or certainly tomorrow.